Welcome to Meme Reads, where today we'll be covering a story about an uncle who goes on a nice guy rant to his niece. If you enjoy this kind of content, please like this video and make sure to subscribe to the channel where we post content like this every Monday and Friday. Today's video covers posts from r/AITA. Am I being unreasonable for going on a quote nice guy rant at my niece? So here it goes. I'm a 35-year-old guy and I'm currently looking after my niece, who's 16, for the summer while her parents are out of the country for work. I've been single most of my life. I've never really gotten the whole dating thing down. I've had my struggles, but that's neither here nor there. Here's the issue. My niece, let's call her Kay, is attractive and popular at her high school, and she's been dating football players since she started dating. Now, being single and somewhat jaded, I've noticed a lot of these jock types tend to not treat their girlfriends well. They have a reputation for being arrogant and self-centered. I've been concerned about Kay, so I decided to talk to her about it. The other night, after overhearing yet another one of her phone conversations where Kay's current boyfriend seemed dismissive and rude, I sat her down for a talk. I told her that she's worth more than what these athletes give her credit for, and that she should consider dating somebody who's genuinely value her for more than just her looks. I suggested that she might want to consider dating a nice guy for a change, somebody who would truly appreciate and respect her. This is where it got heated. Kay got defensive and said I was being judgmental and didn't understand her relationship. I may let my frustrations get the better of me, and I went on a little bit of a rant, saying things like, jocks only care about themselves and their egos, and nice guys like me will never get a chance. I also may have implied that her choices reflect badly on her. In hindsight, I can see how I came off as bitter and envious. Kay stormed off and now she doesn't want to talk to me, saying that I'm being, quote, a butthole for generalizing her boyfriends and not respecting her choices. I didn't mean to upset her. I was just concerned for her well-being. Her parents also called me and told me that they've heard about the situation from Kay and are not happy about it. I'm torn about this. Am I being unreasonable here? You can see how you came off as jealous and envious. You are jealous and envious of a 16-year-old girl. Not only just a 16-year-old girl, but your 16-year-old niece. That's so weird and creepy. OP, you can't project your insecurities onto your family. The amount that you're intruding into your niece's life is not only creepy, but it's just not right. Even if you were her own father, this level of intrusion into her life is not okay. You can't tell her who she can date or how she can live her life. OP, for being a weirdo and sticking your nose in your niece's life and ranting at her about your own insecurities, you get a solid 3 out of 5 buttholes. I know this seems a little bit harsh, but the way you're intruding into your niece's life could really cut off your guys' relationship permanently. If you don't change the way you're treating your niece, she might just cut you off. Your niece, on the other hand, gets 0 out of 5 buttholes. She has every right to be pissed off at you for what you've done. You're a total creep and this is not okay.
Am I the A for leaving my husband at home while I spend the week at my brother's because of how he, quote, buys groceries? I've been in a committed relationship with my husband for 17 years, and overall, things have been great. We've had a few rough patches, but what's important to note is that while he earns more than me and is considered to be the main provider, I have a substantial trust fund that ensures that we're financially stable. I work part-time as a teacher while attending university, earning less than him, and most of my income goes towards tuition. Our household income exceeds over $200,000 annually, while the average in our area is below $50K. One ongoing issue we have is my husband's frugality. He likes to control my spending and have the final say on how he uses his earnings. It's worth mentioning that I've never used any of his income and have no intention to do so. However, the main point of contention between us is his frequent visits to the food banks. Despite having more than enough food at home, he insists on going to the food banks to save money. He intentionally looks disheveled and uses our beat-up car to blend in, even though he's never experienced food scarcity. I've explained to him the need for food donations in our community, even showing him some social media posts from local food banks, but he remains indifferent. I suggested that he volunteer or donate to gain first-hand experience, but he refuses. The unfortunate part is that since we're never short on food, most of what he brings home ends up getting thrown away anyway. To date, I discovered our fridge filled with fresh produce and meat that clearly didn't come from our regular grocery store. When I confronted him, he admitted to going to a food bank after seeing a Facebook post about a donation of fresh food. People on social media were already asking if there was any left, and there wasn't. I showed him these comments, but he brushed them off, claiming that people should have gone earlier. Exhausted by the situation, I packed a bag and went to stay with my brother for the weekend, asking for space and to think things over. My husband accuses me of overreacting, being vindictive, and threatens to go back to the food banks regardless of my feelings. His family is also messaging me, calling me a butthole and urging me to stop interfering with his choices. So I turned off my phone, and now they're bombarding me and my brother with messages. Thankfully, he supports my decision and ignores them. All I want is to enjoy the rest of my weekend without being angry at my husband. Yes, I could let this go and not scold him, but the food he takes could have gone to people who truly needed it. I'm not leaving my husband, but I need a few days to gain some clarity. Am I wrong for wanting this space? OP, you are not at all in the wrong for wanting space from your literal thieving husband. He's basically taking free food from the people who need it the most. If your husband is making over $200,000 a year, then that means that he's in the top 10% of average salaries in the US. Plus, you have a rainy day trust fund just in case. Nothing's wrong with having a trust fund or this much money, but if you have this much money and you're still trying to take free food from people who need it, then you just have an addiction at this point. There's nothing wrong with being frugal with your money, but at this point it just sounds like your husband's being greedy. Anyways, OP, I think your husband gets a solid 4.5 out of 5 buttholes for literally taking and wasting food from people who need it the most.
Am I being unreasonable for saying I'll drive myself and pay for my own room on the upcoming family vacation so I won't have to be a babysitter? I'm a 23-year-old guy and I was repeatedly stuck playing the part of helper and babysitter on family outings. I had to move out of my parents' house because I kept being forced to help with my 3 nephews. Last year, we took a family vacation in the summer to the coast. I rode along with my parents and they paid for my hotel room, only that I had to share the room with 3 rowdy boys because my sister and her husband wanted the room to themselves. I was promised time to do my own thing on the vacation, but I always ended up having to help with the kids. I complained to everybody about it, and I was reminded that I was there for free, and then we pretty much did the only thing that I wanted to do, which was a tour to an art gallery, which I like doing whenever I'm on the coast, but the kids always find it boring. This year, my parents have a beach trip planned for June, and they assumed that I'd be riding along the same as last year, but I refused. I said I'd be driving myself and paying for my own hotel to stay in, so I'd have my own room. My parents were shocked, and they tried to remind me of the cost. I said, no worry, I've got a good job and a decent running car, and I can more than afford it. That's when all the but this and the but that started. I told them the same as last time, that I don't want to be a babysitter, and that's why I'll be driving myself and paying for my own room. I want to be able to enjoy this vacation as an adult, and not be treated like a child like last year. My parents told my sister, and she called to blow up on me, that I'll be ruining the vacation if I'm off doing my own thing while she has to wrangle her 3 boys. I ended up yelling at her that last year all she did was rope me into her mess. I didn't really get to do much of anything that I wanted to do, and I was treated like a bad guy for wanting to go to an art gallery. I'm a grown man. I deserve my own vacation too. Now my sister's not speaking to me, and my parents are still trying to convince me to just ride with them to keep the peace. I'm still refusing, and the pressure is kinda getting to me. Am I being unreasonable for not giving in? I know they'll have a pretty hard time when they don't have another person there to help. Update. It's barely been an hour since I posted, but my sister is apparently a Reddit lurker in the mornings, and she saw my post. Not only is she furious with me, but she's also upset that no one in the comment section is siding with her. To make it short, she went on a big rant how it's hard to be a parent when she has triplets, and the least I could do is help because I'm young and single, and she needs a break. I stood my ground on my decision, and I'm now calling my parents to get them involved. I'm expecting a call from them any minute. Update number 2. Well, I'm off work now, so I can tell you more of what went down. I guess you could say it's over. My sister got our parents involved, and they looked at my post and were absolutely horrified by the continuous influx of commenters. Yes, they're very angry with me that I posted here, and I told them if they'd listened to me in the first place, I'd never have needed to do this. I'm sick of the whole keep the peace mentality that sacrifices me to placate my sister. They in turn went off on my sister. To make a long story short, the whole vacation has been canceled. The hotel wasn't even booked yet anyway, but my parents are arguing with my sister's blaming me, and my nephews are crying because they aren't going to the beach. My sister called me at lunch and basically implied that I have no life, which is why I have time to help. I recorded that and told our parents, and that's what they're currently fighting about. Small update number 3. I wasn't gonna update again, but there's a little bit more. My parents said they won't ever push babysitting of my nephews on me ever again, and have agreed that what happened last year was unfair to me. Right now they are very angry with my sister for telling me that I should help her because she thinks that I have no life. My sister is playing the victim, and my brother-in-law is basically saying nope to the whole mess and spending most of his time at work. Thank you to everybody who's commented. You made my day. Speaking of everybody who commented, a big shout out to everybody who comments on these videos. It's really hard to make content like this sometimes, and it means a lot when you guys comment on these videos. I'm not going to say any names, but thank you guys. I really mean it. Now let me stop being mushy and let's get on to the commentary for this video. OP, you are definitely not being unreasonable here. I don't know how many people need to hear this, but I know parenting is hard, but they're your kids. Let me say it again. Your kids. They're not somebody else's kids that you can just pawn off when you need a break. If you want a break, pay for it. And I'm not trying to knock having a family member watch your kids for free. If they want to watch your kids for free, that's all up to them. That's cool, you know, they're doing you a big favor, but don't force it on somebody. It's not their responsibility. You had the kid, you raise it. OP, you get a rock solid 0 out of 5 buttholes. It's not your responsibility to raise your nephews. Your sister gets a 2.5 out of 5 buttholes for trying to force parenting on you during the vacations just because she needs a break. It's not up to you. Your parents, they would have gotten a 1.5, maybe a 1 out of 5 buttholes, but they did come to your side in the end, so 0 out of 5 buttholes for me.
Am I the A for getting high so my relatives don't try to pawn their children on me? I live in British Columbia, and my family often hosts at our home because we live on a lake. However, I seem to always get roped into watching the kids. which means I don't get to enjoy my life when we have guests. My husband will drink beer with his brother and dad, and my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law will go to winery visits, and I end up at the house responsible for all of my nieces and nephews. So, last weekend, I made sure that I was high as fuck when they showed up. My husband and his brother had to watch the kids because I was in no condition. Their mom is pissed at me because she trusts me to make better choices. I told her that my free time is valuable and I wasn't free childcare. My husband had already had a few beers, so his brother had to stay sober. Poor baby. My husband thinks that I should have tried talking to them for the 50th time instead of getting messed up. I think they now know better than to not ask me if I even want to watch the kids. This post seems very similar to the last post. Why can't people just raise their own kids? You're not the butthole here at all, OP. It's not your responsibility to look after someone else's kids, especially if you didn't even agree to it. If anything, your husbands and your relatives are the bad guys here for blatantly being sexist. Just because you're a woman and you have the free time doesn't mean that you have to give up that free time to watch someone else's kids. OP, I'm going to give you a 0 out of 5 butthole score because you didn't agree to take care of the kids, and you can do whatever you want in your free time.
Am I being unreasonable for begging my girlfriend to uphold a sexist tradition so she can make a good first impression? I have a big family that's incredibly close. We have big family dinners every few months where we all get to meet at my great-grandfather's estate and eat together. Typically, how this works is that the women go and cook for the first time that they're there, and the men don't. I'm fully aware this is super sexist, but that being said, I'm one of the youngest people in my family, and my protest means literally nothing. Some of those women choose not to cook. However, this is usually met with a level of ostracizing. The women who don't cook are wives and long-term girlfriends, so they kinda already have a good family relationship doctored in. When I see new partners not cook, it's not good. Like completely ostracized, not speaking, cattiness, rudeness, etc. This dinner will be in 2 weeks and my girlfriend has asked if she would attend. Initially I said yes, which is great. I want her to meet everybody and for everyone to get used to her being around. But when I explained the tradition to her, she was understandably bothered. I told her that I understood where she was coming from, however, it's best for everybody if she just played along. I told her it isn't a permanent thing and I'm only asking her to do this so she can avoid bad treatment from the rest of the family. This is her first impression, and I don't think it's best if we cause waves. She told me that this is unacceptable, and if that she has to do this, she will not be going. I've tried to find a compromise with her, but she won't budge, and she's pissed at me. She told me that if I think this is acceptable to make her do this, I'm just as bad as everyone else. Well, my point is that she needs to make a good first impression. Am I being unreasonable? To be honest, I want to make some commentary on this post, but I think this comment wraps it up so perfectly, and I'll give a butthole score at the end. OP, you are being unreasonable. Why will my girlfriend abandon her sense of self-respect so that she can establish herself as a subservient woman tool so that my sexist family won't mentally and verbally abuse her? She just doesn't get it. OP, I know you're kind of trying to come from a good place by protecting your girlfriend, and this may sound a little bit harsh, but I think you deserve a 3 out of 5 buttholes, but hear me out. If you tell your girlfriend just to go along with this so your family doesn't abuse her, it's basically making this seem like it's all okay. You're just trying to tell her that, oh, it's just something my family does and it should be okay, it'll just pass on. This is abuse. You shouldn't just let abuse pass on. You need to stand up for this and put a stop to this now. OP, I can't believe you actually wrote that out and was like, oh yeah, I think people on the internet will agree with me. You're insane. If you agree with our butthole score, drop a like and a comment below letting me know what you think. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more content like this, click on one of these videos. Peace.